So it's a bit cloudy today. It's a bit cloudy. Who gives a fuck? Here to record another video. So today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what changing countries and traveling the world has actually taught me about identity, and to be perfectly honest with you, how it has completely changed how I see and how I approach conversations and interactions with other people in my day-to-day life and my day-to-day habits. So, for a little bit of context, I'm 24 years old now, and 4 years ago, I started from, I guess you could say I started from my country of origin, which is where I was born in France. I was born in southern France, southwest France, and I've lived most of my life there and never really gone outside, never really done that much. Like, sure, I traveled a little bit with my parents when I was very young as a kid, but other than that, didn't really go outside, didn't really do anything that exciting. And for the most part, I lived most of my life, my first 20 years of age, at home in my hometown in France. So I was raised in an environment where my mother was French and my father was English speaking. So I was raised in a household that was super, I guess, bilingual. And so I never really felt like, I always felt different when it comes to interacting with other people. It's like, sure, I would interact with French people on a day-to-day basis, but at the end of the day, I felt like I was not in my element. Like, it felt like I was missing something, right? It's like all the videos I would watch online, all the games I would play, all the people I would play with, for the most part, most of them actually spoke English. And so whenever I would talk to people, I would always talk in French. And then as soon as it would be anything relevant to English, I would just become a completely different person. What was funny is 4 years ago, I basically came to the conclusion that I need to do something to shake up the box, or do something in order to change who I was, in order to acquire more progress, change the box, like it's kind of like the phoenix, just like sacrificing his old self and being reborn from the ashes. Like, basically sacrificing your past self in order to become your new self is the perfect like analogy for the phoenix. That's why it was created in the first place, I think. So basically what happened over the course of 4 years is, 4 years ago, I had this revelation where I didn't really want to keep studying. I didn't really want to do anything in terms of getting a job or whatever. I wanted to completely change my trajectory of my life and try to figure out something that would actually work for me. Actually become a free individual, more free, have more freedom, have more liberty, have more, I guess, choice in terms of what I could and what I couldn't do. And I came to the conclusion that I just needed to figure something out. So I looked into a lot of different things at the time. I looked at a lot of different self-improvement groups. This is the first time, like 4 years ago, roughly 4 or 5 years ago, I first started getting into the gym. Getting into the gym, working out, exercising every day, just going out for a run, going out to the gym, going to the pool, whatever it may be, okay? And the more I did this, the more I felt like I needed to grow, I needed to expand, I needed to get out of my comfort zone. Because at the time, 4 years ago, I was still living in France, right? So two years go by of me just trying a bunch of stuff, and nothing's really working. Not really making any money, struggling, not really sure what the fuck I'm doing. And at some point, I'm like, enough is enough. This needs to change. This needs to, like, we need an event. We need something. We need like a story or a scenario or a campaign in order to get out of this mess. And what I came up with was two different ideas, something I had never done before. First idea was, I had one of my friends, and I'm still friends with him to this day, and we thought we could look into getting a house together, or at least getting an apartment together and splitting the costs, and I guess like getting a 2-bedroom apartment and splitting the rent 50-50. I thought we were gonna do that, so we started doing that, started looking into that, got the paperwork done, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And then after that, in the middle of doing it, I came to the realization that I actually had other options at my disposal. One of said options was, my dad is an English speaker, right? He was born in New Zealand. And so, me being his child, I have access to passport citizenship by descent, right? It's like I'm a French citizen, so I'm a citizen of the European Union, and I'm also a citizen of New Zealand by descent. So if I go to New Zealand and I live over there for a little bit, then the government will recognize me as an official citizen, right? So that's basically what I did. So 2 years ago, I was in the middle of looking for an apartment, and I told my friend, like, you know what? I think I've got another option. I've got this. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to sell all of my stuff. I'm going to go to New Zealand. He's actually the guy I sold my old gaming computer to. And I sold most of my stuff after that. And then I just went ahead and just took the plane and just fucked off to New Zealand. And 2 years later, here I am, still standing and doing much better than I was doing before. I've developed my character. I've gotten to the gym. I'm in the best shape of my life. I have some money coming in from clients. I don't need to work a job. I'm extremely grateful that I get to spend time with family and reconnect also with the family that I'd never actually spent that much time with here on my father's side, and discovered a whole new facet to what life has to offer. And to be perfectly honest with you, it made everything much, much clearer. And it didn't really make me miss my country of origin, to be perfectly honest with you, because, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest, like, I've went to a couple of different countries so far, and all of them have their perks and all of them have their flaws. Every single country, there is no the best country on earth. Every single one of them has good things about them, and every single one of them has also bad things about them. And based on the country that you go to, these levels are going to be either good, like better, or worse. So you really need to think for yourself when you go out and you travel and you do these things. Understand how the world works. And it really sets everything into perspective when you've actually lived, not just as a tourist. I'm not talking about getting a tourist visa and traveling the world in hotels and whatever. I'm talking about actually even living there. It's like, I've lived in a couple different countries so far in my life, and to be perfectly honest with you, none of them are perfect. So, like, for instance, for me, based on what I want to do, New Zealand is better than France, but it also has its disadvantages. At the same time, it's not perfect. It's not 100% better than France. It is a very different country. It's very liberal in terms of the liberal democracy, liberal economy that is set up. It's very different to France, and it is also a colony of the British Empire. So technically, it's part of the Commonwealth, you'd say today. But for the most part, I like New Zealand because it is a very small corner of the world that has a lot of potential to be used to your advantage, because you get a lot of people who are very laid back, who are very lazy, who are very just chilling out, like, this is a Pacific island, we'll be fine here, you know. But at the same time, there are people struggling because the economy is getting worse and worse, because the entire economy of New Zealand is based on 90% export-import. And this is a problem. So it has its disadvantages and it has its advantages. On the other hand, I like New Zealand because, very much like the USA, it allows me to come in as a mercenary and to come in as create my own business, look for people to work with very easily. People are very open to talking to you, very open to having a chat over coffee, over a phone call, whatever it may be, right? So there's much more opportunity to actually develop a high income skill and grow compared to somewhere like France, which is way more traditionally orientated. Whereas, like, if you've never owned a business and your family's never owned a business, it's extremely hard for you to create a business or join an industry. Like, for instance, to join the medical industry, it's extremely hard because all of the people in the medical industry are families. So if you aren't part of the family or the friend group or the social group or the social class, you're not accepted. You're made fun of. You're belittled. You're shamed. You're outcast. So that's basically the biggest difference, which has helped me massively improve my skills in terms of my business ability. And if not for this, I think I would have struggled for another couple of years in France if I really tried my best over there and try to figure it out. But I think it was a good thing for me to change countries because it allowed me to, it opened my eyes as to what are the other different types of options that could be out there in terms of language, in terms of culture, in terms of like government, in terms of administration, in terms of I guess culture is the biggest one. But for the most part, not that much has changed compared to my hometown. Like, you still do the same old thing. You still go to the same places. You still go to the store. You still go to the barbershop. You still go to the blah blah blah, right? But at the end of the day, it's just you and the people around you trying their best with what they know and what they have. So now I think to myself, okay, what have been the improvements, what have been the changes in my identity as a man growing up in the world, like growing up doing something with his life over the course of the last 2 years? And to be perfectly honest with you, not that much has actually changed. If anything, my original character traits, my original capabilities and skills have just been amplified. My perseverance, my tenacity, my grit, I'm gonna fucking figure this out even though I'm not really sure if I can. Those are all things that I already had before, not necessarily at a much bigger degree like I have now, but it's still there. Like, that was the foundation I built my life upon. Just trying to figure something out, build something, and not just work a job like everybody else. I do not fit well within the hierarchy of other people's lives. I have my own separate foundation. And this is why I needed to find something that actually worked for me. And I couldn't just bend myself to accept life as somebody's tool or somebody's system or somebody's little cog in the machine. Couldn't do that. Couldn't do it. And so I had to really think for myself what was important for me to keep and what was important for me to sacrifice. I sacrificed a lot of things. May it be stuff, may it be my old house, my old home, my old I used to have a pet cat, had to tell her goodbye. I had to sell all of my stuff or give it away. I had to completely change my setup. I had to buy new things. I had to sacrifice old friendships. I had to completely change my life from the ground up. Stop talking to some people, start talking to new people, understand new things, learn how to set up a bank account, learn how to set up a passport, learn how to do paperwork, learn how to do, and I had so many things to learn, right? And before then, for the most part, my parents just did everything for me. So going from the shy, introverted, don't give a fuck type of guy that his parents did everything for him to becoming the kind of guy that does everything by himself and solves all the problems and figures out a way to figure it out and builds himself from the ground up. It has completely changed the way I look at things. And you can do the same thing as well. If you feel like right now you're not in a very good spot and you really want to change, but you're not really sure what to do, what I recommend is picking something first, going with it and testing it over, let's say 3 or 4 months, 6 months. If it doesn't work, test something else, try something else. And then do that until you find something that actually matters and that you can actually do and you're actually good at and you actually improve and you actually seek betterment and you actually start getting successful. One of the guys I know, I think he's 36 now. And for the first 30 years of his life, he had no fucking clue what he wanted to do. Because at first he wanted to be a musician, then a comedian, then he wanted to be in a band, then he wanted to start talking to people, then he got into sales, he got into telemarketing, he got into a bunch of different jobs, and then now he's actually a YouTuber. He's actually a YouTuber and he does content and he talks about the dating market and he talks about how bad it is and how to solve it and how to be a better person in the dating market and how to whatever, and he went from testing something, and he said something pretty interesting actually that I think everybody should take to heart is you shouldn't stay at a job for more than 2 years unless you're aiming for the career-orientated path. You shouldn't stay there for more than 2 years. If they treat you like shit, if it's not something that is long-term, sustainable, something that you don't enjoy, 2 years max. And then just find something else. This is what my dad did. What my dad used to do is he used to work in construction. And because he studied as an engineer. So he got into construction and then people hired him. And every single time he had a job, he would always look for other jobs at the same time to get other opportunities. And then once he would find a better opportunity, he would then go to his manager or go to his boss and say, hey, I want you to increase my pay. I want a pay raise. And I also want you to do this. I want you to do that. I want all the workers on the team to make sure they all have licenses so that they can all pilot the trucks. And I want this guy who has 50 years of experience, I want him to be a team leader. And his boss said like, oh, you can't tell, no, you can't do that. What the fuck? What are you talking about? And my dad said, all right, well, I'm quitting then. And he said, oh, you can't do that. And he said, can't do. I have this person, this person, this person, this person. They've all offered me a job that pays more than here. I would like to offer you this because I like it here. If you don't want to put this forward, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to these guys. And he said, oh, we can't do that. And he said, all right, I'm leaving then. When you have a job, when you have a salary, you're a mercenary. You have no loyalty to the company itself. It doesn't matter. You're just hired to do a job. It's like a mercenary that is hired to clean out a band of bandits in the local ruined castle from the lord of the town. Say, hey, we've got this problem. They didn't have phones at the time, but he puts like a thing on the wall. And he says, bounty for exterminating bandits in ruined castle nearby, 500 gold. Something like that, right? And it's basically the same thing. You just take the job, and then once the outcome is delivered, you get paid, and then that's it. And then you decide if you want to keep doing the job or not. If it's a recurring job, then you can keep doing it. If it's not a recurring job, then you're done. There you go. There you have it. And yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, like these videos are completely improv. Like I just talk out of my ass, and if it makes sense, just good. If it doesn't, then just let me know in the comments. But with that said, I post videos every single day. So if these other kinds of videos you're interested in watching more of, just go down, like, comment, subscribe, check out the other videos on the channel. And with that said, it's a beautiful day. It doesn't matter if it's cloudy. It doesn't matter if the sky's blue. The sun is always going to come up in the morning. And with that said, I will see you in the next one tomorrow. It's time to get back to work. See ya.